Good morning. Of course, I'm pleased to be here today for this dissemination event of the HEInnovate country review. I should state, of course, that this is my first outing as a Minister for State. I'm not nervous, but I have been directed to stick with the script. And as you know, us independents are unstable at times, as we have been called. So the chances of I sticking with the script are not good. They're not good, but I'll do my best. So again, I want to thank you all. I particularly want to thank Professor McGrath for hosting the event in DCU here today. I would like to welcome the team from the OECD as our international speakers who have kindly agreed to come here. I've always felt that given the importance of entrepreneurship and innovation for society and our economy, that we underscore in Ireland our ability to deal with up-and-coming entrepreneurs and young kids, and I'm off the script already, by the way, and young kids that miss out on either third level education or go into third level education. I was given an example to the professor this morning of a young kid I knew at 6 years of age who was into computers, and at 7 and 8 was going on the internet to buy parts of computers and build his own computer. And at 11 years of age, he was building computers that were at top of the range in his own house. He'd gone to a private school, but that's not relevant as to how he was able to do his business with computers. But we were making the point that he found himself that he has a wonderful job now with Twitter on the international stage. But he was making the point that at that time that there wasn't anything for him, there wasn't that capability to kind of broaden what he was about or to guide him in any direction as to where he should go. And if you kind of look at entrepreneurship coming through universities, up to university third level and after that, we're probably a little bit behind Europe in how we treat our young entrepreneurs. So how do we define a young entrepreneur? I would imagine that Adam, the chap I'm speaking about, was a young entrepreneur. And you would wonder at that age, even in primary school, if somebody could have got him and seen that where he would be going forward to. That, and if we were to do something for young kids from all backgrounds, by the way, at that age level, that we associate an entrepreneur with somebody that's already in business or about to set up a business. But we have budding entrepreneurs that we need to find, go and look for in our primary schools. And this is relevant to what we're about here today, because in a growing economy or a faltering economy, one thing that's absolutely necessary is education. And we will only have a good economic growth and sustainable good economics if we educate our kids coming up in economics, social science and whatever. And I think that has been regretfully a failure to a degree in some countries in Europe where we haven't had the amount of kids coming through the education system that we would have been able to put into entrepreneurship and so on. And all of that now is off the record. I now have to go back onto the script. It's my little place. I wanted to say that given the importance of entrepreneurship and innovation in our society and economy, as I've just been saying, it's important to learn from examples of good practice, both nationally and internationally, and identify areas of improvement. And there isn't anything wrong with us in Ireland here. I've always said it, whether we're dealing with housing, we're dealing with poverty, we're dealing with social responsibility, crime and health, that we should look at systems throughout the world, and particularly in Europe, to see how do we match up. What can we learn? What can we teach them? We tend not to do that over the last number of years, and I think again that has been a failing. And look, there's nothing wrong with admitting that we've made mistakes as long as we learn from them and we begin to realise that there are people in other countries can teach us in all areas as to how we can have a good quality of life in our society. And I think that's important for us to do that. We ourselves have been teaching people all over the world in our arts and our culture dealing with poverty from Goethe, concern and so on. So we have done it, and there's no reason why we shouldn't learn from other societies that we need to do that. First of all, I believe we have visitors from Portugal, Poland and Bulgaria here, and I know that we're interested in hearing the results of the review. and you're all very welcome here to Ireland. I think to stay competitive in a fast-changing world, as I was saying, we need to invest in our people, in their skills, in their ability to adapt and change. We have the tendency to invest in the industry and in the product and in the delivery of the product, but we don't put enough investment into people and their skills, and I think that that's one of the ways we need to go forward in a changing world economy. And as we all know here today, economies will change and falter, go around in circles, and one thing we need to do, if we've learned anything, is to be prepared for the next time our economy starts to go downstream, and have our people highly educated, kids coming up, young entrepreneurs that will see us through a recession or a bad time. And what does this mean? It means developing the right skills among our population and nurturing entrepreneurial thinking, if you like, and talent. It also means building the right conditions for start-up companies to thrive and ensure success to research and innovate facilities for a greater number of companies. And if you look at statistics, research has shown that start-up companies in the first 5 years of existence account for 2/3 of jobs created in Ireland. So you can see how entrepreneurs are crucially and critically important to the economy in creating businesses, in creating jobs, growth, in which the rest of society benefits. And growing the successful number of entrepreneurs and startups is therefore and will continue to be hugely important for Ireland's economic development and well-being, as I said in my opening remarks. We have a large number of small businesses in Ireland and who are connecting and building relationships with enterprises. We've had grave difficulty with small businesses. At one stage, in a period of 2 years, SMEs, we lost about 1,900 in the economy who faltered or went broke or whatever, and for various reasons, but essentially because of a turnaround and not adequate financial support to deal with the business or keep the business going. And I have met a number of small businesses in Waterford, where I come from, in other parts of the country, and it's surprising how they will tell you that if they'd have had if they'd have been learning about different measures of keeping businesses going and supporting businesses, it wasn't always about money. It was about managing your business, promoting your business, and actually working the business through. So we probably could have saved maybe 1/3 of all these businesses if they'd have come through what I was speaking about earlier, being educated at an early process, how to deal with business, how to deal with being a young entrepreneur, and even if we didn't get to 3rd level. And I think that has been shown throughout Europe, that they invest in people, which is what I had said in my earlier remark there, to invest in people as to how, when situations arise in their everyday life, and particularly in the business that they're in or they run, how do they deal with that business when situations begin to come down on top of them? We haven't done that. We put money into the company, we set up maybe directors, and we work the company through to see what profit we can make, how many people we can hire, and all of a sudden something happens to the company and we find that the education is not there within the people that were running the company in the first place to deal with what was happening across Europe, or what was going to happen in the global economy, or what might happen across Europe in the next number of years, and what might happen in the global economy. Now, I know that there are initiatives underway at institutional level to increase engagement with enterprise and national initiatives, and the regional skills forum, I think, will also facilitate greater engagement in the coming years. Ireland's new skills strategy, as you know, was launched in January, and it outlines objectives and actions that will improve people's lives, make Ireland a better place to live, and work and support sustainable economic growth. And at the end of the day, what it does come down to is, with a business or an entrepreneurship or whatever we do, is improving people's lives, the people that are in that business, the people that are attracted into that business, the people that go and support that business and keep that business active and sustainable. All of that is in a circle where, if we take one piece of that circle out, we affect the business, we affect the entrepreneurship, we affect the community. And it's like the small business that might only be selling shirts and ties. You ask them after they pay their rates, rent and so on, and they pay their staff, essentially, what's the problem? The problem is people are not coming in to buy. So you can see where the ladder goes all the way down to supporting everybody in society so that businesses can thrive and succeed. And it sounds simplistic, but believe you me, if you speak, I was on the Council of Europe and on the Human Rights Committee in Europe, and I've been to almost every country in Europe in my travels, many in Eastern Europe and some of the old Eastern Bloc countries. And everybody will say the same thing that I'm saying, but we need initiatives and incentives to make sure that as this economy starts to grow again, that we will have everything in place for small businesses and people that work in small businesses and entrepreneurs, that if they get a hit and if things start to go wrong, I think then that's where we will survive, and that's how we will deal with the problems in businesses. There's also, I think, a strong focus in the strategy in the report and so on employer participation and development and use of skills, including, if you like, the opportunities for experimental learning, curriculum and programme development, engaging with research and innovation activities. And again, it's an appeal I make to employers that to engage, work, find out the people that are working for you, what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths, particularly what are their strengths in developing the business. It may be some guy that's on the shop floor that might have might be cute at maths. He might be cute at innovation and some other method. Find them. And this is done in France, this is done in Germany, this is done in Sweden, this is done in Norway. And again, if you look at the statistics, again, the amount of people that come up from the shop floor that become directors of businesses because we were thinking as to, like, going through who we have working, what are their skills, what are their strong points, what are their weak points. And all of this helps create and sustain strong businesses. I was pleased to note that the HEInnovate review team found a wide, rich range of relevant initiatives in the HEIs. This includes undergraduate, postgraduate programme modules, work based on learning business and startups and business incubation programmes, monitoring initiatives and access to research and development facilities. And again, all of this is about education, it's about investment, it's about developing the knowledge and having the knowledge to see where everything fits in and works together. And I actually strongly believe that opportunities to develop entrepreneurial skills should be accessible to all students. And in my first opening remarks, I did say that, independent of subject, area or discipline. And again, once again, go back to Europe and look at the people that have become involved in entrepreneurship, business and so on, that were able to take them from all aspects of life. Some of them didn't even reach third level education. And you find that their businesses grew and were strong because it's like that young fella, Adam, was building his computer when he was 5 years of age. And a computer that was as good as this one here, Intel. And but there was nobody to guide him until he reached third level education. They were able to find, so you're a computer analyst or you're a top class, and then they guided him on. But between that 4 or 5 years was lost. And this is what we have to deal with. I think also there's a crucial part of competitiveness that our graduates will need to order to compete and be successful within an increasing and challenging and global competitive market. And we all know how global and competitive markets can be based on, if you like, the ability of markets to change, but also high tech. Everything is going high tech, high tech, high tech. Which can have an effect on business and can have an effect on employment. But the point remains that we have to be able to move and deal with that. I think that there are a crucial part of competitors that our graduates will need in order to compete and be successful within that increasing, challenging and competitive markets. Because a lot of it with young people and young entrepreneurs will come down to initiative, resourcefulness. And all of us as human beings can be resourceful. We have to deliver initiatives and finance into resourcefulness within small businesses and young entrepreneurs. You know, this, if you like, creates flexible mindsets, which I think are indispensable. That if we have young kids that are thinking laterally and outside the box, coming in, and I think that this initiative here is wonderful in the sense, if you looked at, and I read into what I was reading it all last night, and I think that it does do that. But there's no doubt in Ireland there are examples of good practices already on the way across the higher education sector, and it does provide a foundation for future developments. I think the country review and the learning from today's event will make a significant contribution to the further development of entrepreneurship education policy and programme in Ireland in the next few years. And I know that the findings from the review will also feed into the higher review of, if you like, system performances, framework for higher education, which is being taken this year. And finally, I'd like to thank, of course, the higher education institutions involved in this project. I think we understate at times the work that's being done by higher education authorities. I meet magnificent people every day of the week who kind of have the pupil, have the city, have the town, have the country, have the world, if you like, in our mindset to see can we better everybody's quality of life. And I think we underestimate the work that they do, like Professor McGrath there. And I'd also like to thank the management and staff and students of Galway May Institute of Technology, University of Limerick Institute of Technology, University College Cork and Dublin City University, and Dundalk IT. So look, I went completely off the script, I have to say. But look, that's my view. It might sound simplistic, but I do believe that we're heading into uncharted waters and delicate waters across Europe with the Japanese economy, the Chinese economy, the elections in America. If people think that the German economy is steady, look again, it is very unsteady and quite capable of actually dropping down, and all we need is a couple of percentage marks off economies across the world and Europe. We have a Brit exit. Some would say it won't affect us. I personally believe it will affect us. And I've been to the House of Commons speaking to members of the Labour Party who are friends of mine, some of them, and the Conservative Party. I don't have many friends there, but one or two of them that I did speak to. But they do have one thing in common, that I hope there's no members of the Conservative Party. Actually met David Cameron, had a coffee with him. There's a good one for you now. Well, anyway, I do think there's, if you meet them and you speak to them, there's a terrible fear, an absolute dreaded fear, that they may go out of Europe, and all for the wrong reasons. I mean, I've been to places like Hartlepool and Newcastle, and I was astounded that everybody wanted to talk about migration or emigration, or call it what you like, migration, nobody wanted to talk about a sustainable economy or how Britain would be affected if they left Europe. Everybody, every taxi driver, every place I went, I'd been sailing there, I sail on the tall ships, and like, I was shocked. And we were talking to intelligent people who just wanted to say, oh, look, let's get out because there's too many people coming into the country. And we better think very carefully long term what might happen there. It's my little piece on Brexit here today. But look, can I thank you all for listening to me? I hope I made some sense in my opening speech here today. And I suppose I'll have to answer to my advisors. Anne is there somewhere where I am. So I'll have to answer to my advisors. We're not staying on the script. But thank you very much.